Hello and welcome to another HanDrinksSolo wine info video, this time on Boplaas's Branca White Reserve 2018. Now you will have noticed in some of my other club videos that I've spent a lot of time talking about the place of Calitzdorp because place can play a huge role in defining a wine. But today I want to talk about the people of Calitzdorp, because one might argue that the people who make the wine play an even larger role in defining what the wines from those regions will taste like. Okay, so a little bit of history. Boplaas are absolute legends in the Calitzdorp area alongside the other original gangsters, de Krans. Both farms are owned or partially owned by branches of the Nel family. We've got Boots and Struwel Nel, two brothers who own de Krans, and then you've got Karel Nel who owns Boplaas, with a winemaker being Margaux Nel. Now, the Calitzdorp scene is a little bit like the X-Men universe. There was a time when the Nel family were united in their quest for global domination, just like Prof. Xavier and Magneto. But then, of course, there comes a differing in ideals or in life goals, and two brothers had to go different ways. So Boplaas only really came into existence when they decided to build their own cellar. So de Krans continued as it was, and the other half of the farm became Upper Farm or Boplaas, and started to make wine in their own cellar, as well as some really stellar brandy. Since then, the rivalry in Calitzdorp has been fierce, but only in the best sense possible, as I think the quality of wines from both these estates really shows. So how does the Gamka Branca White Blend Reserve fit into all of this? Well, for starters, it is named after the Gamka River, which flows through the entire valley and is the only reason that anyone can really farm there at all. The Gamka River provides irrigation to pretty much the entire community. The second thing to note is that this is not a wine of origin Calitzdorp. It is in fact a blend of wines made from fruit from Elgin and the Swartland and Stellenbosch. And so rather than showing the terroir that exists in Calitzdorp, it shows us the clever winemaking decisions and discernment of Calitzdorp winemaker Margaux Nel. Now, if you spend any time with the wine fashion police, you'll know that the idea that a wine is made through human decision and intervention is tantamount to blasphemy, because we want to believe that wine is nothing more than the result of soil and the weather seducing fruit to sacrifice itself on the altar. And as the blood runs down into the goblet, the people declare the gods are pleased. But the reality is that humans actually have to make the wine. And these humans have agency to choose certain grapes from certain regions in order to impart certain qualities that the winemaker foresaw from the beginning. So if wine really is a product of simply nature and the gods, then winemakers are at the very least prophets that can bring physical form to the musings of divine beings. This is one of those wines. So let's unpack a little bit of what Margaux has been trying to achieve here. First up, she took Chardonnay from Elgin. Elgin happens to be one of the premium cooler regions for Chardonnay in South Africa right now. Secondly, she chose Chenin Blanc from Swartland and Stellenbosch, which happen to be the two regions that produce 90% of our most lauded Chenin Blancs. Of course, Branca is on the ride, but for the most part, these two regions dominate. Thirdly, she's chosen the rather in vogue grape of Grenache Blanc from Stellenbosch. And fourthly, and most excitingly, she is including some Calitzdorp fruit, but it's Verdelho. This is the first time that Verdelho has been included in the Gamka Branca blend. Now, while the Verdelho vines on Boplaas are only 10 years old, the future for this grape seems to be very bright. And if its inclusion in this amazing wine is not enough to convince you, then you also need to get hold of de Krans's Tritonia White Verdelho, which is a cultivar Verdelho for the first time in the history of the white Tritonia blend. So if nothing else, you can take away that Verdelho out of Klein Karoo is something worth watching. And at this point, you might go, Hans, slow down. What on earth is Verdelho? Well, it's a cultivar that is, surprise, surprise, Portuguese. It comes from the archipelago of Madeira, which is southwest of Portugal off the coast of Morocco. Now, as we've said before, these Portuguese cultivars feel right at home in the hot, dry climes of Calitzdorp. But that aside, there are still one or two little confusions that we need to clear up before continuing. So there are two different spellings of the grape, which actually refer to three different cultivars. The first one is spelt with a J, Verdejo, and is pronounced Verdelho. This is a completely different grape. There's no connection whatsoever. It's a little like being engaged to Lara, but at the wedding ceremony, calling her Laura. Awkward. Verdelho is also found not in Portugal, but mostly in Spain, where it mainly rains on the plain. And then there are the two LH Verdelhos. One is Verdelho do Dão, as in Verdelho of Dão in Portugal. But in fact, this name has been changed to Gouveio in order to try and get rid of the fact that it was regularly being confused with Verdelho of Madeira, which is the grape that is in the wines, both at De Krantz's Tritonia White and also in this Gamka Branca White blend. So this Verdelho grape from Madeira can exhibit sweeter melon notes through to tartar gooseberry and even have riper tropical pineapple elements. It's really quite a dynamic grape. But enough talk, let's drink. Don't forget to leave me a review at the bottom of the wine info page. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this incredible blend that really does pull parcels from some of the best producing regions in South Africa. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment so that I can hear where you're at in your wine journey.